describes our lives as a journey with a destination, a place to arrive. And this tells us another great lesson about life. I think the first one is that lives are all about relationships. And the second great lesson of life is that if we're going to be successful in arriving at the destination for which our lives are designed and created, that the journey finishes well and finishes where we're supposed to finish, we need to have the right companion and guide with us. We need some help along the way. We need someone to show us where we're going. And that person is none other than the person described in this psalm. He is the shepherd. And I'd like to read this psalm, if I may, to you right now, and have you think about the metaphor of journey with a destination, and how the shepherd accomplishes the mission for us if we're willing to let him. I'd also like to read just a few places that Jesus speaks to us about himself being the shepherd. And I kind of believe that the shepherd of Psalm 23 is none other than the Jesus we find in the New Testament. But I'll let you be the test of that and see if it makes sense to you. This psalm was written over 3,000 years ago by the shepherd King David. And he said, "The Lord is my shepherd. I shall lack nothing." And Jesus said, "I am the good shepherd. I know my sheep, and my sheep know me. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside quiet waters. He restores my soul. He guides me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake." And Jesus said, "My sheep listen to my voice. I know them, and they follow me, because I have come that they might have life and have it to the full. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me." And Jesus said, "Whoever believes in me will live even though they die. And whoever lives and believes in me will really never die. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies." So we kind of notice that life isn't full of peace and harmony and everything going easy. Life's got enemies. Life's got danger in it. But when the shepherd is with us, he takes care of us through the danger. You prepare a table before me. It's a banquet. It's a celebration. I have no worry or fear of my enemy coming and doing me harm. I can eat and enjoy life even in his presence, because the shepherd has prepared a table before me. He anoints my head with oil, and my cup overflows. Jesus said, "Come to me, you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke, learn from me, for my yoke is easy and my burden is light." And here's the description of the destination of the journey in this psalm. "Surely goodness and love will pursue me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever." Just hours before Jesus faces his own physical death, he's together with his closest friends because he knows that life's about relationships. Life's also full of trouble, so it's a time of crisis in their lives, and his life as well. But he speaks these words of encouragement to his disciples, and I think he would speak them to us today as we're seeking to gain a perspective of how we deal with trouble in life. He said, "Don't be worried and upset. You believe in God, believe also in me. For in my Father's house there are many rooms. I would not tell you this if it were not so. But I am going to prepare a place for you. And after I go and prepare a place for you, I am coming back to take you to be with me, so that you can be where I am." In that small company of Jesus' closest friends, a guy named Thomas. I'm sure you've heard of him, the doubting Thomas disciple. But I think Thomas has been getting a bad rap for about 2,000 years as all he's known for is his doubts. Frankly, I thank God for his doubts, because his doubts give me encouragement that he verifies the resurrection, which we can't verify like he could by touching Jesus Christ himself after his resurrection. Nonetheless, the doubting Thomas is also a guy in this situation who displays a few other character qualities, and one of them is courage, because he had the nerve to speak up when no one else opened their mouth. And transparency is the other thing he shares, because he asked the question I'm sure was on everyone else's mind as Jesus was talking to them. He's saying, I'm going away to prepare a place for you, and I'll come back and take you to be with me. And Thomas says, oh, wait a minute, Lord. We don't know where you're going, so how are we going to find our way to you again? Don't give us the stuff about you taking off, and somehow we're going to be okay with that. And to that genuine statement of perplexity and anxiety, Jesus gives one of the most profound statements of self-disclosure in the entire New Testament. He says, Thomas, Thomas, I am the way, I am the truth, and I am the life. No one goes to my Father except through me. Just hours after Jesus makes that rather remarkable statement, he lays his life down voluntarily in his crucifixion. And through the miracle and power of resurrection, Jesus is restored to life and promises that he's going to return for all of those who are his and lead them to his into his Father's presence. He makes the way into his Father's house for us. You're not going to find a simpler but a more profound description of heaven than Jesus' description. Heaven is nothing other than going home to live with our Heavenly Father forever. Now, there's a lot of questions that raises, of course. And we don't get all the answers. But we get the one answer that's most important. What is the destination that our lives are designed for and that our lives fall short of if we don't arrive at? And that destination is to arrive into the personal presence of the Heavenly Father, because our companion and guide, the Great Shepherd, has made the way for us and leads us home to his Father's house. That's heaven. A lot of other questions that I probably can't answer for you, but I'll say that's Jesus' answer to the destination of the journeys of our lives. You may have heard the name C.S. Lewis. He's perhaps best known by a lot of folks in our day and age for being the author of the stories, the Chronicles of Narnia, that are being made into motion pictures and are having great commercial success, and people seem to really find them very impressive stories. C.S. Lewis was actually an English literature scholar in England during his academic career. He lived in the mid-20th century, and he died in 1963, the same day that John F. Kennedy was assassinated. But he was a distinguished professor at both Cambridge and Oxford universities, and he was a medieval literature scholar. That was his specialty. But he wrote these children's stories for his niece. He was at the time still a bachelor, an unmarried man. He had been an agnostic and even an atheist in his journey to the Christian faith that he didn't come to until he was an adult. And once he became a person who believed that the message of the person of Christ was authentic, was a statement of true reality, he became one of the most powerful spokesmen to the intellectual world about Christianity during that mid-20th century period of his life. In one of his books, he writes this statement about heaven. That's where I'm going. And he says, there are times that I think that we do not desire heaven, but more often I find myself wondering whether in our heart of hearts we have ever desired anything else. Heaven is the secret signature of each soul. Heaven is the incommunicable and unappeasable want in our lives. Heaven is the thing we desired before we met our spouses, or made our friends, or chose our work. And heaven is that which we shall still desire on our deathbeds, when our mind no longer knows our spouse or friend or work. All our lives in unattainable ecstasy has hovered just beyond the grasp of our consciousness. And the day is coming when we will wake to find, beyond all hope, that we have attained it, or else that it was within our reach, and we have lost it forever. Heaven is going home to live with the Heavenly Father. But we need the right companion and guide to help us arrive there. C.S. Lewis was an Anglican here in the West. That's Episcopal. So I want to be real ecumenical here. I've got a quote from a fine Catholic scholar who has this to say about heaven's life. His name is Peter Kreeft, and he writes this about heaven. He said, all Christians are resuscitated. You have died and your life is hid with Christ in God, says St. Paul to the living. That's a quote from the New Testament. We have also met the being of life.